Okay, everybody, today it's Saturday, 10:35 in the morning, and we're to do, and Sarah Bricke is going to be showing us how to take an old sweater that's been felted by washing and drying it in that process that shrinks and hardens our sweaters. She's going to help us figure out how to make a purse out of these felted sweaters. And Sarah lives in North County and is going to graduate this in a few weeks from Cal State San Marcos. So she's been studying art. Oh, I'm sorry, only 1 week. Okay. But we're really happy to have you today, Sarah. And I know you've taken classes from Siobhan and maybe other people that are here on the screen with us today, as well as Kristen and Judith. So let's just get started. Go for it, Sarah.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Anna. I'm so excited, and I want to thank you all for coming. The first step of the process is to felt the sweater. And I did that before we started the workshop because it takes a little while. All you have to do is put it in the washing machine on the highest temperature setting, and maybe this has happened to some of you by accident. It will shrink the sweater, and the fabric becomes much thicker, and you can't see the weave at all anymore. So for some sweaters, it happens right away the first time you put it through a wash cycle, and for others, it takes 3 or 4 times. This one started out as an extra large. I'll hold it up, and you can see I could probably still squeeze into it, but I felt like the texture was what I wanted it to be, so I stopped felting it. But I think it took 3 cycles for it to shrink to what I wanted it to be. And you can put them in the dryer too. I can just put it through the wash cycle and then dry it, and repeat that as many times as I need to shrink it. So once you've done that part, we will cut it. And first we'll cut off the sleeves. And we'll save those because later we'll use the sleeves to make straps, or maybe pockets too if you want pockets. And then I cut off the top part of the sweater too. And you're left with this little square. We'll turn it inside out. And we want to pin where we're going to sew. And I normally go up at least a couple inches because I want the bag to have a base. I don't know if you can see where I'm putting the pin.
Yeah, we can see it.
I love this project because it's one that's pretty easy to do if you're hand sewing. So if you don't have a sewing machine, it's a fun way to make something that's not going to take you forever to finish if you're sewing by hand. And then if you do have a machine, it's a simple seam, so it's not very difficult, and it's a good way if you're not familiar with sewing to kind of start using your machine. Okay, so I have it.
Sarah, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So what kind of wool did you throw in the wash? What was that?
Oh, okay. So I should have said that. So the sweater needs to be a natural fiber, 100% wool. Cashmere works. I've done it lots of times in cashmere too. I like you to use this in your workshop, Siobhan. I don't see moths at my house, but I feel like I have them. This sweater's full of holes, and so I felted it. It's a cashmere one. It's great now. It's so soft and nice. I'll probably make a little bag out of that too.
Cool design on it too.
Yeah, I know, it's very cool. I'm glad I can save it somehow because I loved it, but it's got a lot of holes. And that's the other thing too, when you felt it, the holes kind of disappear because it shrinks up so much. Sometimes it works with blends, but I think it depends on the percentage of the fiber. You know, if it's probably not going to shrink, but it's just a little bit of something else, and sometimes it will. Does that answer?
Well, we're having a little bit of audio problem. Are you able to hear?
Yeah, it was sticking. I'm going to turn off my picture to save bandwidth. So I'm just going to pay attention without the bandwidth. How about that?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that helps, right? If we turn our pictures off. Okay. Sorry, Sarah, you won't be alone. We're still here, I promise.
No worries. Can you hear me? Is it working better? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, it's better.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna sew on my machine because that will be quick. Oh. And then the next step is to make little corners on your bag. So when it's still inside out, you want to try to fold it down flat where the seam is so it comes to a point.
Got it.
And then you'll just pin across that little triangle so that you can make a little corner.
How big of a corner would you make? Would it be like an inch, 2 inch?
It depends. It depends how big you want the base of your bag to be. I'm making a little shallow bag right now, but I made one before the workshop that's a lot wider.
Okay,
See if I can show you.
thanks.
Yeah, so this one's probably about 4 inches.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see the base
Okay.
is like that.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, so those are ready to sew. Okay, great. Okay. And that gives me a little base for mine. And this is how it's starting to take shape. So when the base is bigger, a lot of times I put a little bit of cardboard in the bottom, like I did with this one. And right now I have a ton of cardboard because I'm getting so much stuff delivered. But you can use whatever you have. A thin cardboard that works really great is a cereal box. And you can just put the base of your bag down. Oops. And kind of lay it on top of your cardboard and use an X-Acto knife to cut the cardboard. And that just gives your bag a little bit more structure if you want it. And when we put the lining in, you won't see the cardboard. So the next thing we'll do is make lining for the bag, which is totally optional. You don't have to do that. The felted wool won't ravel at all, so it doesn't need to have a lining, but kind of fun to make one out of an old t-shirt. And I think I'm going to use this one. I have a lot of t-shirts because my brother has a skate shop. And so I just wear them, and then when I wear them out, I make something out of them. And I'm not using a pattern to make this bag. I'm just going to use the bag itself to cut the part of the t-shirt that I want. I think I want to try to get the graphics to be part of it. And when I sew, a lot of times I use something that I heard Michelle call a presser foot seam allowance, which means that I just line up the edge of my fabric to the edge of the presser foot on my sewing machine. So I don't do like 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch seam allowances, but you definitely can do that. So right now I'm just cutting around my bag and leaving just a little bit of material because I'm only going to use my presser foot. And the lining is the same thing. We'll put the right sides together. So the graphics that were on my t-shirt, I want to see inside of the bag. So those are facing each other. And I'm just pinning around it so that I can sew. Okay, and I just left the top open, and now I'm ready to sew the lining together. Okay.
That looks good.
I know, it's cute. And then the other side has the logo too. So you can also put pockets on the inside if you want to. Sometimes I've done pockets like from denim. So the back pocket of a pair of jeans is a really nice pocket for the inside of the bag. Or you could use a leftover part of the sweater, part of the sleeve, or part of the top to make a little pocket if you want to. And just sew the pocket on before you put the lining in the bag. So once your lining is done, you pin it inside the bag. And it looks pretty good. And then you can sew all the way around, either with your machine or by hand. You could do a zigzag stitch if your machine has that. I'm just going to do a straight stitch. You can also, if you're using a woven fabric and not a knit, you could kind of iron down the edge of it so that you don't have a raw edge, but the knit t-shirt and the sweater won't ravel. So I'm just going to top stitch it without tucking the edge in. Okay.
It's a total transformation already.
I know, so now we're finished with the bottom of the bag. And the same thing, whatever you have around can turn into a pocket or something for the outside. If you want to add more, there's lots of fun ways to do that with patches or pockets or whatever. You can get really creative. And you can see it doesn't really take very long to make it, especially if you have a machine. But even sewing by hand, it's pretty quick that it comes together. So it's satisfying because you can definitely make it, you know, in one day. Okay, so the last part is the handles. And I think I'm going to make, oh, actually, I'm going to use the sleeves to make the handle. Sometimes the cuffs make really nice handles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I used for the other bag that I did.
Cool.
But I'm not sure if these ones will stretch back out long enough. So let's see if they do. They're not as thick either. Yeah, I think. But the other thing you can do is just cut the sleeve to get handles if you don't want a really short handle. I cut the seam off.
So Kristen says these are great colors. She loves them, and Yuta really likes your lining idea.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So in this case, it just becomes kind of a reflection of what you like. You know, if you're using a sweater that you loved before, then you'll love your bag too. So after we cut off the seam of the sleeve, then we can cut the rest of the fabric that's left in half, and you would end up with 2 much longer handles. Or if you wanted to make a bag that goes across the body, I feel like a lot of people like that right now. You can take the 2 pieces that you just cut and sew them together. And then you need to do the same thing with the other sleeve and usually use just 1 more piece. And then that will give you enough to wear across the body and still be able to tuck it down inside the bag so that it's really secure. If you do a crossbody, I would sew the strap all the way down into the bag so that it's secure. Let's see. Yeah, I think I want to use the cuffs to make a little small handle. We'll fold it in half the long way and pin it so that we can sew it. So at each end, you want to leave, I think at least 1 inch, maybe 2 inches, because this will be the part that you sew onto the bag. Okay. And then you're just going to turn it right side out so that the seam will be on the inside of the handle. You won't see it. And sometimes if it's really skinny, you can use scissors, the blunt end of scissors to push it through, or maybe a pencil. You can use the eraser end, but I think I can just pull it through with my fingers.
Siobhan's she's commending you for the way you're using all these parts in different ways. I don't think I can ever throw a sweater away again.
Yeah, I love this aspect of the project, like the idea of reusing things. I'm a Mending project fan for that reason too.
Yeah.
It's just so nice to be able to repurpose something and not throw it away. And the act of making something, of sewing especially, I feel like right now, you know, putting something together is a really positive act for us to do. It's a really good way of keeping sanity for me, I guess.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that. But then you just have to remember where you put all the things that you keep.
Oh, well, I mean, we are stuck at home, so that could be something. I've been going through my inventory and finding all kinds of stuff that I've stashed that I forgot about. Okay, so I'm just stretching it out now because I want my handle to be, you know, a good size to hold. And you can see how it looks. It's almost like a corded handle.
It is.
Yeah, so I got this idea because I love purses anyway, and I've looked a lot at how these types of handles are made. And here's your edges are gonna look great when they're on the bag. And I'll put them on the outside of the bag, but if you don't like the way that that looks, you could pin them to the inside and sew them that way. I'm glad that this is argyle because I'll be able to really line them up just fine without measuring. But usually you would want to measure each side of the handle from the outside of the bag. So like maybe 3 inches on this side and then 3 inches here, because that's one part that a lot of times it doesn't end up looking right if you just eyeball it. But I'm just going to use the argyle pattern to line it up. And I'm doing my pins so that I can just sew right over them this time. I don't want to have to move this around while I'm sewing it on.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, so that's how they look. And then I'm just gonna sew all the way around, again using my presser foot and just sewing kind of in a sort of a U shape. Okay. And there we go. And that's really it. We will just repeat the same thing on the other side and then do the handle steps over again. And then your bag will be finished.
That's terrific. Thank you, Sarah. Anybody have any questions? Do you want to unmute and ask Sarah questions?
I love it. Love it. Love it.
Can you hold it up again, Sarah, so we can see it?
Yeah, see it more.
So cute. Are you going to put a handle on the other side? So have
Yeah, I will. I'll finish it. I just didn't want to make everybody sit through the whole, thing when you've already sat with me and watched me sew. But I finished this one before so that you could kind of see how they end up looking when they're done. This one I made to hold yarn.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to put my yarn in it and like kind of have a little thing that I'll use for mending and put it upstairs next to the couch. Yeah, but I think they come out looking good.
They're awesome. So the big bummer for me was like thinking about, oh, I'm going to run to the thrift store and find a cool old sweater. Nope.
Not right now.
No.
I know, it's a bummer. And I wish that we could do it all together. That's one of the bummers too, is like, I've done this workshop before in person and I love to show people how to sew because I think it's such a great skill. And I was telling Anna earlier before the call started that a lot of times I will felt the sweaters before doing the workshop so people have something to use.
Yeah.
And I get them from thrift stores or ThreadUp.
Oh, yeah.
Get a lot of them online from ThreadUp, so so that's an option too. And a lot of times they'll be on sale, especially right now because it's summer. So maybe like a couple bucks for a sweater.
I love that you could they could actually, if you're giving friend a book, they could actually be a holder for the book and a wrapping at the same time too.
Oh, that's
Oh yeah.
idea.
There's all kinds of tutorials for this same idea that you can find online. And I've seen people say that before, that it's a cute way to give a gift, like depending on what you're trying to wrap. I saw one where someone was making them like that a plant could fit in. So they were giving a plant in a pot in a little bag like this. And
Cute.
cute.
Nice.
Or like a laptop sleeve is like an easy.
Yeah, I saw that too. I actually saw that. Somebody was because the size is perfect for a laptop.
Yeah.
Can I ask you to show the seams on the top of it up to the camera, just so I can see like how you connected the lining to the inside?
Oh yeah, okay. So for the lining, all I did was sew around. Let's see. Can you see it?
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool.
And then on the outside, you can maybe barely see it because it's green, but it's,
Yeah.
I stitched really close to the edge, but if you stitch a little further from the edge, if you're using knit fabric, it will kind of roll down.
Yeah, okay.
And it will sort of hide your seam if you want to hide it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Right. Sarah, this was fantastic. And thanks to everybody for joining us, and send us pictures of your finished things.
I can't work on anything like that until I'm done grading.
Okay, 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks. Right.
Oh, it's good to see you, Kristen.
Good to see you too. Are you out in your famous studio building?
No, I've been really home zooming a lot and doing research and discovering amazing videos that are totally marvelous for me. So while I'm doing new presentations for my classes, I'm finding all these great artists that are doing work that I'm completely inspired by.
Can you share?
Well, I'd be happy to share. I mean, I looked at a great video by Catherine Gallagher. The Bloomberg series, the Brilliant Ideas, the Mark Bradford video is outstanding, completely. And I'm going to be picky. I'm not choosing just anything. I'm going to be very picky about what I give students.
Anna, you meant Ellen Gallagher, right?
Ellen, I'm sorry, what
Not
did I say?
Catherine, right?
Okay, yeah, Ellen
Yeah,
Gallagher.
yeah. Just checking.
Sorry, yeah.
That's okay. Just checking.
You got me out. You caught me off guard. I've just been.
No, I mean, you don't have to share right now. If you're willing, if you have a list, then you can just send it. That would be wonderful.
I also sent sent my students to hear Coco Fusco talk about her film she made in 1918. And the film's title is very long, but it's by the Cuban poet Reynaldo Arenas, and it's a lovely film. It's a non-narrative film, but beautiful. It's a documentary, and she's done other documentaries that are also somewhat poetic. She was great. Someone sent me a link. One of my students' mothers is taking my class, and the student Shireen Tofik sent her mother the link, and she sent it to me, and I checked everything out. I went, we're doing this. That's what we're doing. So I've loved this short time in Zoom with my students. I'm really glad I'm retiring. I'm really glad I don't have to do non-synchronous teaching. That having them for 8 weeks and then having them for another 8 weeks has been beautiful and perfect. And you would think that it's not tiring, but those of you that are instructors, or maybe the students are tired of it too. I don't know, but
I think everyone is.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's very exhausting for some reason.
It's just constant engagement
yeah.
and staring at screens a lot and sitting.
Oh, yeah.
Very tiring.
Yeah, I'm writing your name down, Judith, and links for.
Yeah, I would love it. I would love it. If it's not extra work, if you have collected them somewhere, don't do extra work.
I get it, totally.
So do any of you have your sweaters to show of what you think you're going to make it from?
I didn't find them.
Hang on.
I don't have sweaters.
Oh, did you do that while it was going on?
I was working on it. I did as much as I could, and I found a piece of cardboard, which was amazing. but I haven't sewed anything like the lining together with it.
Oh, that's
okay.
But it's been really fun.
I found this old one of my dad's that I was about to do. I was going to put patches on it.
Oh, I
but
love that.
It's really funky old one. I'm a little bit scared to felt it, but it's lamb's wool and Orlon. I don't even think they make Orlon anymore.
I don't even know what that is.
Prehistoric synthetic, you know, this is probably from the 50s.
Oh, yeah. So whatever makes it kind of stretchy.
But it also, I'm afraid it won't felt.
How much Orlon does it have? Does it say the percent?
25% Orlon.
So it might, but I mean, it might not. It's hard to say with blends. Like, it just, if you're willing to sacrifice the sweater, then.
I know. I think I was thinking about doing some creative darning instead. So I might just do the darning and then find that I have an entire bin of wool sweaters somewhere, but.
Yeah, I'm lost right now, temporarily lost. You know?
Yeah, I can't believe I've never left and I still can't find anything, but it just goes with my brain right now. So anyway, listen, I'm going to jump off, but it was lovely meeting you all, seeing you all.
Michelle.
Back for the next thing. What's our next one? Monday at 3:30 will be
Pasta.
pasta making with Debbie. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
You guys, even if you just have regular flour, you don't have to have the fancy semolina flour, but this is my friend and she's hilarious. It's hilarious to watch. So
It's
it'll be a good one.
incredible. For those of you that have never made it,
So good.
so
So
good.
Thank you all for doing the great work.
I know. Thank you all for welcoming me too. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I appreciate it.
I'm so glad you made it.
Good.
That's so cool, Mary. Thank
Oh
you.
no, it's far from being done.
All the merrier.
Post it on our Facebook site or something if you
I
get
will,
that.
I
That
will.
would be
Yeah,
really fun.
send it, because I want to see it too.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll send it to you guys.
I
I'll
know,
DM you.
Sarah, I wanted to say, I kind of want to try this one, but I have to figure out how to use the details that are like
That's a
embroidered.
great pocket detail,
Oh,
Kristen.
yeah.
for outside.
It's only 36%, so I don't know. I might have to, I'm not sure if it's going to felt or not. And then I had one that was already a DIY first, so it's already cashmere that's been pieced together.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'll have to see if I can figure out a way to make it work in the shape that I would want.
The cashmere will be really nice if you decide to felt it. It comes out really, really nice and soft. Maybe I'll send you something separately because I have a sweater here that didn't felt. It's a blend and it didn't felt, but I think it's so cute. And so I was gonna make like a slouchy bag out of it, even though it didn't. So I could tell you how to do that if you want to know. It's the same technique. It won't have the same structure because it stays soft.
I actually, now I'm kind of excited to go through my old t-shirts.
Get some good luck.
So fun. You can make so much with t-shirts.
Yes, we know.
Yeah, Michelle knows.
Entire exhibitions.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And thread up. Now I'm scared. I'll go on thread up.
Oh yeah, I love ThreadUp. It's
Yeah.
the best.
Great.
Bye.
Alrighty.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. It's nice meeting you all.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
Thank
Sarah.
you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Sarah. Great job.
Bye, May.
Thank you, Sarah. Bye.
Oh.